Hello, and welcome back to Trista's Reading Room. Thanks for joining me. I'm your host, Trista Shea. It's Halloween week, and odd things are happening. Big the Barn Cat takes his role on the W's farm very seriously, making sure everything runs smoothly and goes according to plan. But things don't always go according to plan. When Big unexpectedly meets a shadowy kitty under his favorite bench on the porch, and the stranger doesn't know any of the answers to his important questions, Big takes it upon himself to learn where the kitty came from and get him home. While Big wants to help the new cat out, his top priority is still to his family and their farm. And someone has been spreading rumors that the farm is on the verge of starvation. Halloween. Is it frivolous fun or a massive cover-up? Dun dun dun! Today we're going to be looking at and reading from The Backward Kitty, which is book 1 in Big the Barn Cat. And this is my book. I have written this one. It's almost Halloween. Tomorrow's Halloween, so happy Halloween to those of you who celebrate. And The Backward Kitty has a Halloween theme about it. It's not about Halloween, but it happens on the week of Halloween. I also have a promotion going on right now for a free ebook. So if you go on Amazon, you can get The Backward Kitty for free as an ebook. You can also get book 5, which is The Kitten's Field Trip, for free as well. And those are free today, Monday through Wednesday, which is November 1st. You can find them on Amazon. I'll drop the link below. Tell your friends. Get free ebooks. Whoop whoop. So the books are for ages 7 plus reading level. But they have been read aloud to kids as young as 5 who've enjoyed them. Each book is a separate story. However, I would recommend reading the first book if you want to get to know the characters. Alright, so I am the author of this series, Big the Barn Cat. I'm an award-winning narrator. I am an author. I'm an illustrator. I'm an all-around creative. I mostly write YA, young adults, and MG, middle grade, fantasy. Fantasy is my absolute favorite to write. But as you can see from the big books, I do deviate from that genre, and I do write in other subgenres as well. I've been writing since I was quite young. I was homeschooled. Thanks, Mom! I published my first book when I was 16, and then I published again the following year when I was 17. And then I took a 6-year break. In 2020, I popped back into the publishing sphere, and I published 4 new books. 2 of them being the first 2 books in the Big the Barn Cat series. You can find my work and my updates on Facebook, on Instagram, Amazon, Audible, I'm trying to think, and I do have a newsletter that I send out once a month with writing news, and you guys get to see like cover reveals first, and if I can remember to inform you about things like this, you will know when new things are launching if I don't just randomly do them because I can. Which is quite often for me what I do. So like I said, you can find them on Amazon, paperback, ebook for all of them. And then the first 2 books are in audiobook as well, and the third one is currently being worked on to come into an audiobook format. I wrote this book and this series, it's based on the animals and the cats specifically that we had growing up. The W's are my family and our farm. Growing up. So this is like childhood memories for me. That was kind of the idea behind the books and behind the series. I have like a list of memories and things that I can remember from childhood throughout the years. And every time I write a new book, I go through that list and I pick 1 or 2 or 3 things that I want to put into this next book. There are also 2 songs in every book, and a lot of the songs that are in these books are songs that I made up, or my dad made up, or my friend made up, like songs that we created growing up. And I'm going to read the first couple chapters, and then I will post a link, and I will put that information on the website as well. And don't forget to get your free ebook of this one and book 5. Big the Barn Cat, The Backward Kitty. My cousin actually illustrated this first book, and then I illustrated all the rest. So, fun fact. Alright, Chapter 1, Introductions. It all started on a day much like today, or to be more precise, rather like yesterday. The sky was clear and the frogs' spring songs could be heard off behind the barn and out in the deep woods. Well, Actually, it was evening, not day at all. You see, the sun had come and passed its way over the face of the earth, and now the moon was up. So, in that case, it was actually evening, not morning, and definitely not daytime. So the evening of last evening was much like the day of the event of which I'm talking about. But remember, it all began in the evening, not during the morning, afternoon, or otherwise daylight hours. I hope you caught all of that. We cats can move pretty quickly in our logic from one place to the next, and sometimes a person can get lost trying to keep up. But anyway, where was I? Ah, yes, who I am. That's what I was explaining. Must have been. 'Cause you see, we've never met, and you don't even know my name. So let me introduce myself. I'm Beeg. Let me just note here that it's pronounced like B with a G on the end. So more like Beeg instead of Big. Not to confuse you or anything, but it would be embarrassing if you were to call a new friend by the wrong name. Thought I'd save you some trouble. Now that that's sorted, here we go, jumping back into it. I'm the biggest barn cat here on the W's farm. They say when I was younger, I was called Cotton. They also say I got stuck in a tree my first day here, but we try to listen to everything they say with a grain of salt. Well, Cotton, if that was my name, is long forgotten now, because as I grew up, I earned myself the title of Beeg, strongest and ablest kitty cat on the whole entire farm. That's right, that's me. You're talking to him. What was that? Ah, yes, I do indeed live on a farm. And this is it. Make yourselves at home. Pull up a straw pile and stay a while. Dinner time will be here pretty soon. Now, Mr. and Mrs. W. are the ones who own this place, and they have 4 kids of their own to help them out around here and over next door at Mr. W.'s mother's place. We've got lots of space and lots of woods and property for walks and hunting, if you like that sort of thing. We have tractors and lawn mowers, weed whackers and garden plows, all the general machinery of a hard-working, well-oiled farm. We also have an upper and lower barn, a horse pen, goat pen, garage building, van shed, wood shed, gazebo, schoolhouse. Mrs. W. homeschools, you see. A couple of apple trees, birdhouses, a vegetable garden, 2 flower gardens, and, my personal favorite, a nice porch just off the back door of the house with lots of room to spread out on during the summer evenings. Or fall evenings. Or any evening, to be exact. I love that place. Might just be my favorite spot on the entire farm. Under the bench on the porch. The youngest girl, third in line as the kids go, is my girl. She raised me from a kitten, and we've had all sorts of adventures together. We all help out around the farm and do our duty to each other. One big, happy family. Several jobs come along with being the biggest of the barn cats, and I've humbly accepted them for the good of the whole place. Animals, people, and machinery. That's right. It's good for the tractor that I do what I do. Just don't ask me why. It just is. As one of my jobs, I often sit myself along the path to the lower barn, between the hill that leads up to the upper barn and the van shed. The lower barn is where our food bowls are located, you see, as well as our water bowl, kitty beds, and other such necessities for living. Not to mention where the horses' grain and the goats' inside pen are. Anyways, I sit myself on that path and I make sure none of the other felines are late for breakfast or dinner time. And if they are, I give them a swift reminder to never be late again. I whack them a little across the bum as they race past me into the barn and yell, "Hey, pick up your feed and mind your tail. There'll be no lollygagging on this farm." And what do you know? It works. Though, on occasion, you get the lame excuse of, "I was off hunting," or "My nap lasted longer than I thought." But in all honesty, there is no way to miss the dinner call around here, unless you're deaf. Every morning and night, my girl will come out to the barn whistling for us to gather to eat. It's been like that ever since I was little,
and it'll be like that for as long as I'm alive. So excuse your excuses, but there's no reason under high heaven to be late for dinner round here. Another job of mine is to make sure everyone is accounted for, and if, for any reason, someone's gone missing, I go find them. So as they stream past me and follow our lunch lady into the barn, I count them in my mind and rattle off their names. It's pretty impressive if you ask me. There's a lot to keep track of. Don't believe me? Well, let me just introduce you to the gang real quick. Then you'll see what I mean. First of all, there's the older brothers, who've been around longer than me. Tiger Poof and Black Poof. I'll let you guess what colors they are. It's a real mystery. They keep to themselves mostly, secretive old fellows, and know about the farm's earliest days. There's the two who are in charge of security round here. Stripes, who's got the extra toes, and Reese, the muscle cat. Those two are often out hunting and patrolling the area. If you have a problem, you call one of them and they'll sort it out for you, no questions asked. We've got the siblings who've been here the same amount of time as I have. Fact is, we grew up together after my girl brought me home. Poofenheimer's got a bit of white on his chest and paws, otherwise surrounded entirely by black. And Vader, don't be fooled, she's a petite little lady, is all black herself. Her son is Misty Bird. Thinks he's a superhero who can fly. Sadly, his daddy isn't around anymore. No one ever knew who the feller even was. What are we up to now? Is that 7? Counting me, it's 8. But I'm not done yet. Not quite. There's the squeaky one, Carmel, who'll roll off just about anything if someone pets him on the back. There's Henry, the guy who'll rub a dent in your leg if you're walking by, and who drinks water so slowly and carefully, it's painful to watch. Then there's all the kittens. Gremlin, who has the bobbed tail, Whippy, the adventure girl, Suki, the dull calico, who has a crescent moon shape on her cheek, and we already mentioned Misty Bird. That's all the cats. The outside ones, anyway. Inside, they've got 2 more, but I'm not in charge of keeping track of them. And I'm also not in charge of the outside goats, horses, or bunnies, or the inside lizard, guinea pig, or ferret. Oh, and don't forget to count the dog. At this point, you might call us a zoo instead of a farm, and by George, you wouldn't be far off. You see, some people round these parts don't want their kitties, so they drop them off here by the side of the road because they notice we've got a barn and assume we can take care of a few extra mouths. The W's never turn a cat in need away. Any animal in need, honestly. And if they can't find the original owner, well, the new guy becomes a part of the family. And our family is pretty large, as you can see. Where were we? Large family, cat names. Don't you believe me now about how hard it might be to keep track of all the other cats? There's a lot of them. But my most important job, my top priority, is investigating any weird things that might happen around here. It's not only a job I take on, but a duty to my family, to make sure this place runs smoothly and operates in ship-shape order. What kind of things do I investigate, you ask? Well, I was just about to tell you of one instance where I was scared on account of the entire farm's livelihood. But there's some backstory you need to hear first to understand how we got there. Here, have a kitty treat. Sit back and listen up. We're about to get to the good stuff. Chapter 2, Stranger in the Night. So back to the night of the evening of that day a little while ago, when the air was crisp and there was a slight breeze. About that night, late in the fall of last year. Wait. Hold the kitty chow. Did I say the frogs had been singing songs of spring? Well, I suppose they were a bit mixed up that year, for you see it was actually fall, not spring, when this all began. And it was evening. Yes, late evening when the stars come out and sprinkle the heavens with their tiny pinpricks of light. Night feeding had come and gone, and most of us cats had eaten our fill and meandered our way out of the barn to stretch in the moonlight and chase some shadows. From the place I sat off next to the gray garage building, I could see the moon as its pale face rose above the van shed, a metal pole construction with corrugated Honduras sheets covering 3 sides and the roof, which also doubled as our litter box in the spring, summer, and fall. Here and there, tiny bugs leapt from the grass and flicked their antennae. The young kittens leapt right along beside the insects and took their soft bodies up in their padded paws, patting them to and fro. I stretched the kinks out of my back as I stood and began to stroll toward the house's large porch, which opened out from the back door. I often made myself comfortable there when I was off duty. Like I said previously, it might be my most favorite place on the whole entire farm. I patted my way toward the white and gray porch that was peeling from the weather. The late-night traffic in the one-way lane leading to my favorite scenic overlook of the yard, aka the porch, parted as they saw me trooping their way. Some of the younger cats by the path rolled their eyes, probably with the mindset that I was taking too long to pass through and was ruining their fast-paced fun. I've learned to ignore most glances, glares, and otherwise looks shot in my direction, and try to let life live, and let live life. Or something like that. I let them have their fun, and they let me have my naps. Live and let live, that's the one. I stopped at the water dish on the edge of the porch to lick a few drops into my dry mouth, then turned on my blinker and merged off to the left, strolling under the overpassing bench, where I stretched myself out for a good nap before bedtime. I licked my paws, wiped my face, and wormed my tail up over my nose. And wait a minute. I glanced up and noticed that some black shape of a creature was, well, lying there beside me. I cleared my throat. Hey, fella, this is my territory. Just stay on your side of the parking lot, and we'll be fine. I sent a hooded stare in his direction. Hey, if you didn't get things straight with some of these characters, they'd push you out of your space. And boy, did I need my space. Hey you, did you get that? I narrowed my eyes when he didn't answer back. The 2 older brother cats were a bit hard of hearing and, well, I wanted to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, just in case it was one of them. But I didn't think it was. No reply. Just a small echoing rumble. Maybe he was deaf? Hey! Hello? I normally don't get this rough on people, but tonight I was tired, and when I'm tired I usually get a bit grouchy. I mean, most people will go flying off the handle when someone strange is in their napping space, but not me. No, sir. I'll be just as polite and nice as you please. To a point. Excuse me, sir. Ma'am. Whichever you are. This is where I'm lying my head tonight, and if you'll please state your name and business, we can get on with the process of finding you a place to sleep that isn't right here. There's an upper section to this bench we're under, you know, and I feel like maybe you'd enjoy the nightlife better from up there. I know, it's a sacrifice for me to stay here while you take upstairs with the glam and glitter of the farm at night, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Still nothing. I narrowed my eyes again. Okay, this kitty was pulling on my patience, and I only had so much left after a long day like today. If I couldn't find out who the mystery cat was, I'd be forced to call in security to see if she, had been cleared to be this near the house. Excuse me, but if you don't tell me your name, I'm going to have to call in the brute squad, and they'll have to take you to interrogation. It's not a pretty place. I tried one last tactic, wondering if intimidation would work. Nope. Just that low rumbling sound again. Was this cat purring? I didn't think so, but it was getting mighty cramped under that little bench with a stranger just across from me, who wouldn't talk to me but was that humming? Just what I needed. A humming cat. Hello? Hello, is that you humming? I wanted to see if it checked out as the stranger making the noise, and not just some bugs nearby. The low vibrating stopped a minute, and then picked up again, pattering along in a strange tune. And you can bet your boots it was being made by the shadowy kitty to my left. Oh boy! The hairs on the back of my neck began to rise, and I let out a low hiss, then a full-blown yowl. That was a secret call to the security team, you see. You simply scream, "Alert! Come get the intruder!" and they'll come running. If they're around, that is. Boy, did I hope they were around. I was missing my before-bed nap thanks to this. Hey, the posse is coming this way, kid. I'd run if I were you. I warned the stranger one last time, trying to be as nice as I possibly could. I was getting a little uncomfortable in this odd situation. He didn't budge. Whatever. It was up to him if he chose to stick around and possibly get pounded by the guys who kept all loafers and drifters away. We only have so much space here on the farm, and unregistered kitty cats aren't necessarily allowed to just come through and take whatever they want for a night. There would be no law and order if we let that happen. Complete anarchy and chaos. Our little farm would never survive like that. I peered off into the night toward the barn, hoping I'd catch sight of either Stripes or Reese, or both, coming my way. I glimpsed a shadow, and by the size and shape, I guessed it was Stripes heading in our direction. Good. They heard my call to action, although he didn't seem to be hurrying himself by any means to my rescue. For all he knew, this could be a life-and-death situation, and he was walking? I would have to have a word with him once this was all straightened out. Stripes meandered his way toward us, and as he got closer, I whispered to the stranger. "See? I told you. You're in for some questioning, fella, and you better get some answers sorted out on your tongue. He isn't going to take silence for a reply." The humming stopped, and I could see in the shadows cast by the big harvest moon. Did I mention there was a large orange harvest moon that night? That his ears were perking up, and maybe he was finally realizing the error of his ways.
And that's it for the Backward Kitty reading today. If you want to hear me read more, which I probably am likely to read more of my books, just because I know that I'm okay with that, I will have to ask other authors if they're cool with me reading more of their books on here as well once we get to that point. Don't forget to grab your free ebooks of Book 1 and Book 5 on Amazon. Wing! And tell your friends about them. And thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.